We've all seen those scenes in movies and in real life when two girls who obviously hold nothing but contempt and competition for each other do this big, huge display of sing-songy squawking and fawning over each other and complimenting and flattering. And it's sickening, and it's so transparent, at least to anybody with a working brain cell. But to them, they are in this kind of performative dance, and they really want to, it's almost like they're asserting contempt through fawning. And I think about that scene in Mean Girls, or the whole movie Mean Girls, where Regina compliments the bracelet and then turns and says, "That's the ugliest fucking bracelet I've ever seen." That's kind of that's what being a female is about. The warfare is always this indirect kind of syrupy voice fawning. And another example I think of is when I taught high schoolers, the way that women would come try to be in favor with me as the teacher is this kind of sickening fawning. And then the way that men tested me is through challenge. Like, they would be directly challenging by like having their phone out. Whereas a girl she'd set the stage by doing the fawning, and then she'd hope that I wouldn't notice that she had her earphones under her hair. So it's a little sneakier, right? And it illustrates how with women, the combat is sneaky, underhanded, and manipulative in an indirect way. And it also tells you that when someone is excessively flattering you, it's actually a sign of watch out, red flag, contempt. And I recently went through this again in many ways, but I also went through it in a workplace situation where I had this woman who I think she believed, this manager, I truly believe that she thinks that her act was rock solid. She thinks that she fooled everybody with her mix of just enough like nice girl persona with flashes of contempt. Because see, what she did is she fancies herself as too nice. Like, for one, she sets the stage by constantly saying that, "Oh, people just say I'm too nice, too nice." And then she'll say, she always kind of tries to have this like, "We are honored, we are humbled." So she really wanted to showcase that aspect of her, but her actual actions are that her ego will not let anybody release anything in the company without her approval. So she's a tyrant with this like, she coats that, she's sure to coat this in that kind of good girl, fake, humble thing. So another way she does this is by saying that, there's no egos here. There's no egos here. And what that means is no one else is allowed to have an ego but me, because I have to have the final approval and everybody else has to cater to me. So, but she would never see this part of herself. She truly believes she doesn't have an ego. She's humble. She's too nice. And she believes that everyone believes that her act because she believes her act. And the biggest barrier to self-awareness is the need to be good. And so the warfare with this woman involved her undermining things I would do, but then she would kind of have like a fake false flattery thing in a context that didn't matter. And actually in a way that was a subtle poke. So those kinds of compliments that there's a dig in them. Like there's such, and that's the way women fight. They don't fight in a way that's clear and direct, and they fight in a way that in a lot of ways inspires cognitive dissonance and confusion. So they will want to create in the story of their head that they were just such a sweet martyr and they did so much, but that you seem just so upset. And it's because they were doing a mix of undermining and fawning. And you can even see in a woman's face, if you start to look for microexpressions, which I can really spot now, especially after watching this woman, there's these microexpressions are what they really feel flash through, and her face would flash through these looks of contempt and disdain. For instance, one time I brought up this idea that was a really great idea, and I was excited to share and enthusiastic, and it was an undeniably good idea, and I could just see her face kind of almost twitching between her mask and her contempt for me. And so the point is when you encounter somebody who is overly effusive and just really, like, say it's somebody even that just likes every single Instagram post you do and watches everything you do and hearts, and there's an excessive amount, and then they're also someone that they're clearly watching you, and then they're constantly fawning. This doesn't mean they like you. This could mean that they have nothing but contempt for you. So just watch it. Like, that's why people are they have a natural kind of gag reflex to excessive flattery, and it's because it's fake, and women do use it as a war tactic. Like, they use it to kind of mollify and soften you up before they really, put the knife in your back. So just watch for it. Like with that boss, she'd be excluding me from meetings and doing all of this passive aggressive stuff, and then she'd have her little voice once in a while pipe up, and I just gave her a look of kind of, come on, like, it's just so fake. What are you doing with your little voice, but then your action? You clearly hate me. Like, why are you going out of your way to do the fawning thing? And it's because she is attached to, she's attached to her good girl persona, and she's trying to create that is her, so that other people will think, well, that other person's so bitchy, but that woman's nice. It's conditioning way back from high school. You see this start in high school with the mean girls in high school. They perfect this act and they go on. I prefer somebody that just has a level of self-awareness to know that they can own that they've got that kind of malice, and they don't have to like purport that they're anything but. Like, I just can't stand that people think I would be fooled by that act. And so I just think this is just a warning, a note to my younger self about watch out for those fawning, those flatterers in a new way, because there's so much war going on underneath that. There's combat.